Bloodwolf Arts Studio. Unleash the artist within. Welcome to Bloodwolf Arts Studio, and I'm your host, Mr. Moonlight. And today we are starting our very first Bloodwolf reading hour, where we are going to be reading a very special book that we just posted the other week. And we're right here with us. We've got our special guest, Robyn, and we're going to be doing 30 minutes of this for the next several weeks with Robyn as our co-host here. And we'll just be doing this together to kind of set things up. I'm going to be doing the reading, but I've got a copy. And if you've got your copy, and Robyn has got her copy too, we're going to be reading this together. And if you have one, you can read along. And there will be some activities, some reflections, and some transformation activities that she's written into her book, as I shared earlier. And we'll be doing those at the end of each live stream. And so we're just going to go ahead and get started. And I guess we'll just take a second, because this first one is just going to be introductions. We won't be getting into like the chapters you get quite yet. That'll be next week. So I guess I'll just give you a second here, Robyn, if you wanted to share a little bit about this.
So, in these first chapters, there are still some not chapters, but in the dedication and in the sections that you'll be reading today, it does still tell a little bit about my story. And so even though there are no questions at the end of it, I'm more than happy to answer any questions that anyone may have during and through the chat, or also at the end, we can have a discussion.
Okay. Thank you, Robyn.
Hmm?
Okay, so we'll just go ahead and get started. From Surviving to Thriving, A Journey to Abundance by Robyn Maria. Dedication. For the ones still surviving with tired hands and trembling hearts, this is for you. For those who've been knocked down more times than they can count, but still rise, still working, still determined, this is your mirror. For those still enduring, breath by breath, with no clear way out, may you see yourself in these pages and remember that your strength is not invisible. And to the version of me who kept walking through hell, barefoot, bleeding but unbroken, thank you for not giving up. This is the story we created from ashes to abundance. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
I just want everyone to know that I see them, that this is not necessarily a book about me, but about us. And so we get to take the journey together.
It's powerful. I'm already just like already feeling this. And you shared about this a little early before we got started, but I'm already feeling a lot like I'm feeling you in this already. This is some deep stuff. So thank you.
Yes, my honor.
Okay, the next section. A letter to you, the reader. Dear and beautiful soul, before we step into the pages of my story, I want to talk directly to you. I don't know where you are in your journey, what battles you fought, what secrets you carry, or what dreams you've tucked away in silence. But I do know this. You are here for a reason. You picked up this book because something inside you whispered, there's more. More healing, more purpose, more possibility, more creation, more abundance. Maybe even just more hope. I'm not here to pretend I have it all figured out. What I can offer is my truth, unfiltered, unpolished, and fully mine. It's the story of a girl who went from tents and foster homes to building a life of abundance and service. More importantly, it's a story of choice over and over again. I chose to create. You can too. This book isn't just about me. It's about you, your strength, your healing, your ability to write a new chapter, no matter the past. As you read the pages ahead, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, pause when something tugs at your heart. And when you come across an exercise, don't skip it. That's where the real work begins. That's where you meet the next version of yourself. You are not broken. You are becoming. I am so honored to walk this part of your journey with you. With love and belief in your brilliance, Robyn Maria. Wow. Thank you. What a beautiful note to start on this.
Well, it's my truth.
Did you have anything you wanted to add before we continue?
No, I think that says a lot.
Okay, this is the prologue. The walk back. He told my mom we were going to the store. I was young, too trusting to suspect anything, too conditioned to obey. Instead of heading toward town, he turned onto a dirt road that snaked into the woods. Trees lined either side like guards keeping secrets. The deeper we went, the darker it got. Not just the light, but something else. Something in my gut whispered, "This isn't right." He stopped the car, told me to get out. I didn't understand, not fully, but somewhere in the space between my racing heart and his calm voice, I knew. And by the time I truly understood, it was already too late. He overpowered me. I froze. My body refused to move, but my mind fled. I dissociated and left body behind to face what it could not fight off. That's how I survived. When it was over, he took my underwear, maybe to erase the evidence, maybe to steal the last shred of dignity I had left. Then he drove off, just like that. Left me alone in the middle of the woods, bleeding, broken, terrified. But I didn't stay down. Something inside me, something stubborn and sacred, refused to give up. I stood. I walked all night through shadows and silence, through branches and tears. I kept walking. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I couldn't stay there. By the time I got home, the sky had begun to soften with the light of morning. He was already there. He told my mother I had run off at the store and he didn't know where I'd gone. He lied, and she believed him. She didn't ask what happened. She saw the hickey on my neck, the dirt on my clothes, the absence of underwear, and came to her own conclusion. There was no space for my truth. As punishment, she made me cut a switch from the tree in the yard. Then she pulled down my pants and beat me with it. All the while, she called me names: filthy, nasty, shameful. But the shame was never mine to carry. I carried silence for years, wrapped it around myself like armor. But silence doesn't heal. It festers. It grows mold in the soul. So now I speak, not for pity, not for revenge, but for freedom. For the girl who walked out of those woods, barefoot and bloody, who kept moving forward when every reason said stop. For the woman I became, whole, worthy, fierce. For anyone who has ever been left in the dark and found their own way back to the light. This isn't just a story about what happened to me. It's the story of how I rose, one step at a time. This book is the proof that choosing again and again is where transformation begins. This book is for anyone who's ever felt like they didn't belong, for the ones who were told they were too broken, for the kids who grew up feeling like survival was all for which they could hope. It's for those stuck in cycles of fear, poverty, trauma, or limitation who need to hear the truth. I love, let me take a second here. I guess first, did you want to share something? Um,
Um, no, I don't. But well, yes. The point of the book is there are a few stories in here that are maybe difficult for some to read, like this one.
yeah,
But at the end, it's not necessarily about the story as it is about alchemizing the story into something different.
yeah,
Not being in denial, not showing up for exactly what it is, but saying, I choose that this isn't my path just because I was put on this path.
yeah.
Every walk back can be whatever you want it to be. And for me, the walk out of those woods is where my strength started to grow.
And I love how this one sentence here, um, I feel like is a such a shift in perspective. It's the story of how I rose, and
Yeah.
the descriptions and the vivid imagery. Um, I mean, it's I what you're conveying here. It's like you said, it's the raw truth. It's unfiltered, and you're doing something very challenging that a lot of people I feel like struggle with is you're walking a fine line of walking through the depths of hell and saying, you don't have power over me because I accept that this is part of the story,
Mhm.
and able to turn that walk out of the woods into this beautiful story of I didn't walk out. That walkout was the start of a rise to where you are today, and it wasn't something that you look at and say, you know what, how could you? You should have known better. You're taking away all the judgments, and you said it's rather than saying you should have known better. You knew. You say, yeah, I saw this situation you were in, and well, some part of you knew, and also you were afraid
Mhm.
and terrified, and
Mhm.
I feel like that's a really challenging thing to do is to walk that line of being able to do that. And that's what I see you doing already here at the start.
Well, thank you.
So uh, we're going to go ahead and read into the introduction.
Okay.
Okay, so introduction. It is in our darkest stories that we discover our brightest strength. You are the creator. There were nights I'd fall asleep listening to the wind rustle through the trees while lying in a cold tent on uneven ground. No mattress, no security, just the sound of my own breath, and sometimes my own tears. My parents, gripped by addiction, couldn't afford a place to live. We moved from campground to campground every 2 weeks like clockwork, packing up what little we had and hauling water just to survive. I learned early that life isn't always fair. I also learned how cruel it could be. I'll never forget the day my stepfather broke both of my pinky toes with a hammer. I hadn't pitched the tent correctly. That was the punishment. That was my reality. Eventually, I entered the foster care system. 4 years, 6 different homes, and the deep, hollow feeling that no one wanted me, that I didn't belong, that maybe I wasn't worth fighting for. But somewhere deep inside, I knew that this couldn't be the end of my story. There had to be more, and I was going to find it. Even when I didn't know what more looked like, even when I didn't believe I was worthy of it, even when my surroundings told me I'd never escape the cycle. Something inside of me whispered, keep going. That whisper became my lifeline. I held on to it through cold nights and quiet tears, through being passed from home to home, through the moments I questioned if anyone would ever see me, hear me, fight for me. That whisper, faint as it was, carried the truth I would one day live. You were made for more. I chose to believe that I could create something different, not because someone saved me, not because a miracle dropped from the sky, but because I realized in time that you are the creator of your own life. Your past doesn't define your future. You do, moment by moment and choice by choice, even when the odds feel stacked against you. This is my story of moving from pain to power, from instability to abundance, from hopelessness to purpose. It's about how I went from feeling disposable to running a successful business and launching a charity that supports children like I once was, lost in a system and craving to be seen. What to expect. Each chapter will share a piece of my story, raw, real, and unfiltered. You'll walk with me through the darkest valleys and the quiet victories. You'll see the cracks, the pain, the moments I wanted to give up but didn't. You'll feel what it's like to go from forgotten to found, and from lost to lit up with purpose. Each chapter will offer something for you, a reflection, a challenge, a moment to pause and ask yourself, what am I creating with the life I've been given? These aren't just my lessons. They're invitations into your healing, your clarity, your courage. No matter how hard life has been or how heavy your story feels, you are more than enough. You are the embodiment of everything divine and good. The world may have tried to tell you otherwise, but I'm here to remind you, you were not meant to simply survive. You were made to rise, to thrive, and to create. You have the power to write a new story, starting now. I'll be with you every step of the way. Before we begin, I'm not a therapist, a celebrity, or someone with all the answers. I'm not here to fix you or give you a 5-step formula for healing. I'm just a girl who was once broken, shattered, really, and chose piece by piece to build herself anyway. I've made mistakes. I've carried shame. I've screamed at the sky asking, why me? I've walked through fire and wondered if I'd ever feel whole. But in the middle of the wreckage, I realized something no one had ever told me. Healing is not about being rescued. It's about remembering your power to rebuild. That's what this book is, a remembering, a reclaiming, a road back to the truth of who you are and what you're capable of, no matter where you've been. Choose the life you were born to live. My desire is that by the time you close this book, you'll not only believe it's possible for you too, but that you'll feel it in your bones, that something inside you will shift, that you'll stop waiting for permission and start choosing the life you were born to live. Take a breath right now. Let it all fall away. The shame, the doubt, the fear, the labels you've outgrown. You don't need to carry those into the next chapter of your life. Instead, carry this. You were born to create. You've always had the power. And your story is just getting started. Let's begin. Wow. Bravo.
Thank you.
Is there something, anything you wanted to share or kind of go into a little bit that stuck out to you as you was writing this, or
When I first started writing this book, I felt like I didn't want to share any of the hard parts. It felt like it was staying in the story of what had happened. And that's not what I wanted to create in this.
yeah,
What I came to understand and to feel was that through the stories is where I triumphed, that they have purpose. The story and the experience is what leads to greatness. And so when the waters are calm on a river, nobody's trying to figure anything out. They're just enjoying life and enjoying the ride. You're just floating aimlessly and casually down a beautiful glass river. It's when the waves and the bumps and the rocks and the rapids start to show up that we start focusing and paying attention, that we start working to figure things out. And for me, that's where gratitude comes in. I don't get to grow without these experiences. So, in these experiences, the foundation of them for me now is gratitude. It wasn't always so, but I was able to get to the point where I could be grateful to the people that were in charge of me, to the people that opened their home to me so that I could see that there was a different way to live than the normal that I grew up with. And that when I made my own life and my own family as I got older, that everyone's normal is different. And so my normal could be whatever I wanted it to be. So I have a lot of gratitude for those experiences.
and you get to take all of that experience, and it's like you take it and you turn it into fertilizer
Exactly.
to
Yes.
nourish. You can either look at the story as, this is why my plant, this is why my garden's damaged, or you can say, you know what, this is what I'm turning it into. This stuff's been dropped on my garden, and I can either choose to just feel bad about it being in my garden, or I can remove it and I can maybe build a nice little fence around it, and maybe build a little shed or something.
Mhm. Yeah. My favorite shark that I've come across so far is a goblin shark. And
Hmm.
I don't know if many people know what goblin sharks look like. And if you don't, I
I
encourage you
don't.
to look one up. I encourage you to look it up because their jaw extends out of their mouth and they grab prey and bring it back in.
Hmm.
And it's a very unique animal and it lives in the depths of the ocean. And so it's not up on the surface. It doesn't get any daylight. And people think, why? That's like, there are beautiful animals in the ocean. Like, you like a goblin shark. But here's the thing, there's beauty in something that is not deemed mainstream.
Hmm.
There's beauty
Yes.
in something that is a little off or a little quirky or a little different. My human is full of cracks. My human has experienced so much. Does that leave me broken? Or does it just make me different? Do I not now have more character because of the experiences that I've had? Am I not now a little quirkier than maybe I would have been? And at the base of all of that, I've still chosen to create abundance. I am the most abundant person I know. I have the best life of anybody I know. Not because my bank account is overflowing, but because everything in my life has been created by me and for me. And without the experiences that I've had, How would how would I have known to do that?
Right.
Hmm.
I wouldn't even understand what I even wanted to do or what I wanted to stand for. And and being able to take your experiences you've had and alchemize it. Um, it's very, I don't know, it's like, because you can do a lot with that. You can define it and say, why me? Or what can I do with this now that I know and that I've
Mhm.
learned? And inspire others to actually. And I feel like that's the powerful thing. That's the one thing that you just shared that really stood out to me is you sharing your story. Like that's like this book is an inspiration to me, um, personally, because I've had that same thought in my mind of if I share my story, does that solidify me as some kind of victim to my circumstances? And it's like maybe I shouldn't just not say anything at all. Um, and maybe if I share something, maybe if I share my story, I share my pain, that maybe people will take advantage of that, or maybe people will feel bad for me. And for myself, that's been a challenge and a fine line I've walked. Like, how do I share my experiences and connect to people and get there and allow myself to receive their support for my own stuff I've been through, and also not let that be my life. And that's something I've personally had a challenge with for a long time. And so when you said that, that's what's going through your mind as you read when you was writing this. Um,
Mhm.
that's something I'm very familiar with. So, um,
Yes, and the other part of it though is you can't without experiencing the difficult things, there's not an appreciation for when the seas are calmer or when the river isn't so rapid. There's no appreciation for the reprieve. And so for me, it's about I see you, I honor you, thank you for that experience. I choose this instead. And it truly has just been that. It's been a lifetime of learning for me. It's not, I have howled at the moon and said, no fair. But at the end of the day, I'm grateful. And so this book, your story may not look exactly like mine,
yeah,
but in all reality and in all truth, every person on the planet at some point in their life feels these things.
yeah,
They feel disposable. They feel unloved. They feel, whether it's self-inflicted or inflicted upon them, they, everyone has had that moment of where do I belong
yeah.
in the scheme of things. And so, though you may not have had to walk out of the woods or lived in a campground, you still get to know that I see you because I know you have felt the same as I have.
So, thank you so much for sharing a lot on this. It looks like we've only got about 3 minutes, so we're gonna see if we can start wrapping this up.
Okay.
Um, so for anyone watching this, we're going to be doing a another live stream next week, same time. And as the holidays come through, some of those times may adjust to accommodate because they're landing on certain days and times. I'll announce those ahead of time, a week ahead, and we'll get clear on that. I just wanted to, and perhaps preface um, whoever's following along with kind of ending on the note that you just shared, talking about the walk in the woods is, I mean, kind of shifting that a little bit as everybody's had their walk out of the woods. And I invite anybody who's following along on through this book and along these live streams to, in preparation for next week, I invite you to tune in to what you feel like your walk in the woods has been, because as we get into our first chapter, we're going to start getting into some of the reflections and transformative activities so we can start to perhaps alchemize your story that you've had so that you can start to shift it, like our guest here, Robyn. Um, so remember to like this video, This is going to be posted on the YouTube channel Blood Wolf Art Studio. Like the Facebook, follow us along, and we'll see you next week. And so, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you again, Robyn, and welcome to my side of the moon.
Thank you.